What up, y'all? It's your boy Ben here, welcoming back the meta report for this week. And to my surprise, there have still been newer decks that are popping up and doing kind of well into this meta. I think this extended meta, whereas Pokemon Pocket content is in its sets, right? Like, we're not getting game modes, we're not getting new other things. The only way that we actually get a fresher breath of air is through these monthly releases. And so where I do understand some sentiment of hey, we don't have it's hard to keep up with the cards, but this is what happens when they give a pack to let other people catch up, so to speak, because they don't even go towards your older collection. But we're stuck in the meta and we just don't like that. However, I will give credit, so let's go ahead and dive on into this round of the meta report, so that way we can just check out what's been there. So if you haven't already, go ahead, hit that like button, subscribe, definitely click that notification bell button so that way you don't miss out on a thing. We got games, y'all. We got games that are ongoing as well too. These are pretty big here. This is day one, it's done as well. So let's go ahead and just kind of take a look. And the Pocket Mads tournament here, $200. Shout out to them for giving them this is a bigger cash prize on this side of things. And as we can see, the amount of folks who are coming in, we're seeing Suicune, but look it up here. Greninja Oricorio is making a splash back. Pikachu EX, Tapu Koko EX is making a splash. We're seeing again. Flareon Eevee is here to stay. There's a Porygon Z list that's spicy as well. So there's this one tournament here, and then we go into this tournament, which was fun. Look at this first place Charizard, second place Giratina Darkrai, then we got Greninja Oricorio, fourth Giratina EX Darkrai EX, top 4 no Suicune. Top 8, no Suicune. We're looking at our first Suicune deck right outside of the top 8, and we're seeing some Flareon, some Charizard, and some Charizard again. So it's just very interesting to see. This is where the majority of them are landing up down here. There's even this Pikachu Jolteon EX deck that kind of did okay for itself. So let's go ahead and just take a look at these decks. We'll take a look at these first two, the Suicune and Charizard deck, and then just continue on from there. So up first, we have Suicune. This is your standard list, nothing to see really here. This deck is really, I've seen some kind of list floating around with inflatable boat and other things like that, the amount of Cyruses that you have, but I think this is really coming down to consensus that this is the best 20 cards to use in this Suicune EX deck, right? Your ratio numbers here, you want the healing more, you want the Cyrus, you want the one leaf, and you want the one repel here. So this kind of these numbers here are really the ones that I've seen being flexed around, especially this inclusion of leaf, and whether or not you have 2 Cyrus or 1 Irida, but just having one here has been able to show consistency. And if we even take a look at this roundup, literally undefeated, 7-0 right here. So if you haven't made your way to Master Ball yet and you're just kind of looking for a deck to kind of just take you there, this is the one to do so. We'll see that with plenty more of the other ones, but this is definitely a favorite here, especially if we even look at the metagame. 22% of the entire literally 22% just are playing it, which is crazy. If we even take a look at this here, look at this, this is a 26%. So averaging between the two tournaments, 24%, almost a whole quarter of all participants were playing Suicune and Greninja. Is kind of crazy to really think about it when you put it that way. Then we take a look at the Charizard EX deck that did win that second tournament here, which is really exciting. You are just just gas. You're literally just gas. You are building up to your Charmeleon, building up to your Charizard EX. Sometimes you're even hoping for just that rare candy, Charizard EX, Stoke, 150, start attacking. You have 180 HP, 200 with a giant cape. So it takes a lot for your opponent to get you whittled down. Even in those water decks, they still need time to set up here. And if you only have your Charizard EX, like Suicune only hits you for 40, they drop these down here. They can still at most hit you for 80, at most 100 with the Greninja, and you still take this out in one. So like that's like really cool to see in that case. And then with the two lilies here, you have that opportunity to heal massively back up here. Like that is the benefit of this. And one of the things that makes stage 2 decks really hard is the consistency of drawing into your Pokemon, and by focusing on only the Charizard line here, Cleffa just guarantees you hits. And that's what's cool. Like this is just to guarantee you hits here. The repel here is to disrupt, just kind of like what they're doing out in the active spot, as we saw a lot of the decks, and we'll continue to see the decks that you're still banking on those basic EXs here. But Cleffa, MVP for sure, for making sure that you can draw into that 150 pretty quickly, and being able to start Cleffa on turn 1 in those games, you are going to go far, because you get to Twinkly Call and draw cards from your deck immediately before you actually get to draw for the turn, which is really cool, thinning out that deck so that way you can get closer to your evolutions or into those supporter cards to really make it through. And then we continue to this variant here, right? Like the Limitless showed Greninja or Oricorio, but obviously we're still rocking. It's like still rocking with the Suicune EX deck. Suicune has just made Greninja so viable. Here, the combination between the two. But this, as you'll note, that you're, instead of the one Giratina, you're actually running 2 Oricorios, but this is typically only a water deck. You want to get your Suicune online consistently, your Greninja online consistently, and Oricorio is just there to annoy your opponents. If they are a Charizard EX deck, they have to play around both of those Oricorios and continue to take out one of those either Greninja or Suicunes. And in one tournament, we saw that Charizard was able to do that. Another tournament, we did, like, they weren't able to, right? So, like, you got to really make sure that the cards can work in your favor. And so you can kind of get that tossed up into there. Going into the mirror, I think we see a lot of... It's interesting because Oricorio does lose in one to opposing Greninjas, just because, like, you know, Water Shuriken does 20, then does 60, and that's taken out. But Oricorio really does hold fast to against these EX decks that are really trying to be dominant here, really lowering what they can do, especially as we like look into some of these other decks. But like even being able to heal this for 40, like Oricorio having access to heal, having access to Giant Cape can really disrupt what your opponent's trying to do. Then we move into your Lightning Box deck, really kind of just now focusing it on Tapu Koko EX and Pikachu EX, the combination of a 1-2 punch here. Zeraora and Tapu Koko both have their own lightning energy generation. Zeraora on that first turn getting that lightning energy right away, and Tapu Koko being able to Plasma Hurricane. What's really cool is that if you're going into these water decks, you can Plasma Hurricane twice and still do massive damage, right? You're attacking one energy for 40, and so instead of like placing all your energy on here, or like let's say they start Froakie, you can do that, or even Suicune, they could like not get that like knockout right away, and so you can mess around with trying to set up your bench or your Pikachu EX to get there. And Pikachu EX does work, right? 150. The only thing that just doesn't knock out in one is the Charizard EX, so you really have to put pressure on them with a Tapu Koko, but at that point, if they're into the Charizard EX, they get slowly whittled down with an Oricorio. So you really get a lot of different options and answers to a lot of things that you may see, and then being able to E-switch into a Thunderbolt here, or Zap, allows you to just quickly put the pressure onto your opponent and take them out here. So I really do kind of like this build. I do like the inclusion of Pikachu EX as just kind of like your finisher, because that 150 really does stretch through a lot. And then we continue on into the Guzzlord EX Celesteela decks here. This deck is just really built to be annoying. Like, I don't, folks who run it, like, I'm not mad at you, but like, I am mad at you. I think the other decks, like, you know, the Giratinas and the Suicunes, like, I just like, you know, they're gonna get their cards, they're gonna do this, and like, I like have it in my head already that it's already gonna be a tough hill to climb. But Guzzlord makes it feel as if you have a chance, because there's coin flips along the way. They might not have their Lusamine, or they might not get their other card, but oftentimes what I've been finding is that they get what they need, and it's pretty strong. That 170 HP from Guzzlord really keeps it alive, really keeps it tanky, especially between the potion, the Pokemon Center Lady, the options of rooting your attacks with Grindcore and Will, saving the Will for Oricorios if you need to, really does like put this really strong, right? Like, no matter how many times the Charizard stokes, if you take that energy away up until you have your Tyrannical Hole ready, can they really attack you? Probably not. And you get to survive because you have 170 HP, and so then you get to clap back here. Maybe you throw the Rocky Helmet on there and get some damage done to them as well too. So this is really built well in terms of the options that you have, so it's really cool to see this come about, but it is very annoying to face, in my opinion. Then we have the Flareon Jolteon Pichu box here. It's been putting in work, and since its appearance has been continuing to perform pretty well. Hasn't topped anything yet, but still gives itself a very strong fighting chance here. You have so many ways of just attacking here, so many different ways of mapping out what you need in terms of, like, you know, first price point, second price point, then you hit with the Flareon EX, or you can Flareon or Cillion Flareon. Like there's just so many options for you, and because we have Pichu as a baby to be able to generate that lightning energy, so you can consistently discard or use fire energy for your Flareon EX, really takes us far. The Eevee bag, and in the combination of red, also just puts you up a lot of damage here. Like, you know, you keep your cards close to your chest, and you double Eevee bag with the red, you can knock out a Guzzlord, which has that, like, one of the higher HPs, because that's 150, 160, 170 there. So it does go through a lot, pretty much with one hitting it with the tools that you have available. Then we continue to another new show here, where we got Porygon Z. So we're actually going to like click all of these for you all, because I'm pretty sure that you haven't really played around or played with these cards, which is probably why this deck has been doing so well, because one of the things that makes you scary is actually the word onto the ladder is when people don't know what you're doing, right? Like, you have the surprise element, you know what your opponent's doing, you typically know what's in your opponent's deck, but they have no clue what they're going to see here. So Porygon, its ability data scan will start your turn to be able to take a look at the top card of your deck. What energy, colorless energy, you may attack for 20. Porygon 2, when you attach an energy from the energy zone to this Pokemon, put a random card from your deck that evolves from this Pokemon onto this Pokemon and evolve it. So you attach an energy, so you go from Porygon 2 to Porygon Z immediately. And Porygon Z here, this one, you like the double energy, because this allows you, because there's another one where it's like Buggy Beam, but this is Slowing Beam, and then it makes them attack for one more. Now this doesn't stack, so like let's say you're going into an opposing Porygon Z, they have 2 energy, you attack, it's 3 energy. You attack that following turn, it stays 3 energy, doesn't climb up to 4. So it's just not like once you get this, it locks the opponent out of the game, but that's what you're seeing. And then the supporter here, Tapu Lele, was a very strong card when it came out. It definitely has seen a lot less play, but this energy arrow does 20 damage to one of your opponent's Pokemon for each energy attached to that Pokemon. So you can attack things that are hiding in the back, soften them up, especially for this like 70 damage here, and then boosting them up. So going into Giratinas that need to, you know, in the Suicune decks and in the Dark Tina decks, they need that, and their ability, losing it on their turn and so being able to have them attack for 1 more is like pretty good there in that sense. So that's really cool to kind of see like what this build is like. You're surviving things out with Lily, you're putting things up with Cyrus, you're poison barbing yourself, you're really just trying to continue to whittle down here. You're extending the game by making their attacks cost more, so that way they just don't get to hit you, and then you get to hit them for that extra turn there. Raichu just kind of like get that extra damage because we see so many of these EXs being heavy here. So this is like really cool to see this kind of like not only newer style deck, right? Like I haven't seen this combination before, but for it to do so well, again relying on that surprise element, and that's also exciting. So good job to this pilot into the tournament. We have our Dark Tina here. There's no name, no shame in this game. It's just you're running dark energy only. You have these cards out, you use it, and then you attack, and that's it. You generate your energy, you ping them, and then you attack once you're ready, and then you use all of your other supporters as whatever's happening on the board. Once you get to your 3rd turn, you're ready to go start ripping. And so, you know, it's here. This deck is going to be here and will continue to be here and continue to be talked about until we get to rotations in Pokemon Pocket. And then last but not least is a Raichu deck. That's right, this promo, and you can see in this deck, so even if you only have 1 so far, you can still try this out. But this promo, is making waves, which is like really cool to see a promo get like an impact as well. And like Raichu is such a cool card, especially with our mega Raichus coming up pretty soon here with Legends ZA, to be able to see it do like pretty well competitively, as well as pretty nice. You also get a mixed bag of a low end Raichu EX Psychic. You get to do 30 more damage for each energy that's attached here. So a Giratina would have 4 extra energy. You're doing 180 damage, clearing it out in 1 shot. Your Guzzlord has 4 energy for a Tyrannical Hole, 180. You're taking that out in 1 shot. And then Raichu EX clears Greninja in 1, Suicune in 1, so you don't have to worry about that either. Stoat Charizard alone, Raichu is doing work for that as well too. Raichu EX is here to serve in terms of a way of just like getting into these to make sure that they're set up for you, and you get that extra energy generation if you need it through Electrical Cord or Elemental Switch. So overall, these cards, these 2 can answer a lot pretty quickly in the meta, where like Lone Raichu can't really deal a lot of damage to Suicune because it only has 2 energy, and that's where you have Raichu EX here to be able to take care of that. So let me know, y'all, what decks are you playing in the meta right now? How far away, if you haven't already, hit Master Ball, and quite frankly, are you climbing even this month as well? If there's anything else that you would like to see in these types of videos, also leave that down below in the comment section. Thank you all so much for making it this far in the video, and we'll catch you on the next one. Till then, y'all, peace.